Well, good evening, everybody. It's Mary with Stamps-N-Lingers, and it is Sunday night at 8. So we are once again going to have us a little live video. And I appreciate y'all joining. Whoever is managing to come on, I'm going to go ahead and refresh my screen over here to the left to see that I am actually transmitting. It looks like I am. Hi, Amy. How are you, my friend? Hi, Fran. Nice to see you. Hey, Julie. Glad you could join me tonight. And Jean, Mary. Good to see y'all. I appreciate you spending part of your weekend with you. Hi, Kathy. Glad you could come. Hi, Pat from Arkansas and Karen. Good of you to join. Hey, Donna. I'm glad you didn't blow away, Donna. Hi, Barbara. Hey, Sharon. Good to see you from New Mexico. Hi, Twyla. Good to see you again. And Jean and Sharon, enjoying your chocolate fudge bars. I'm a little bit envious. Okay, let's just face it, I'm a lot envious. But I am trying to not eat a lot of chocolate fudge, and I have been woefully unsuccessful this past week. I've eaten a lot of chocolate this past week. But apparently, I have also lost the weight of 2 window air conditioners. That's what my app told me this morning. So, this is the exact paper you have on your desk. Well, it's a good paper, Jean. It is probably one of the prettiest papers I've seen in a long time. I don't know about you guys, but this is a favorite. I've already got 2 packs, and I'm pretty sure I'll need more. Hi, Denise. Glad you could join. And Barbara and Robbie, how are you ladies today? So this is the card that I gave you a sneak peek of this morning. And it is from the new Share What You Love suite, which, as you know, will be available to customers on the 1st of May as a special early release. So instead of getting to play with this set for 12 months, you're going to get it for 13 months, which is really kind of awesome. Hey, Denise, I'm glad you got it. Jean, thank you. We'll just do a quick Finn update. Finn is already in bed. He has been doing a lot of sleeping the last couple of days. Like I wrote this morning, I'm pretty certain he's hit the 3-day wall. I don't know if any of you have ever had general surgery, but it seems like you do really well for the first 2 or 3 days afterwards, and then boom, you smack into a wall and you're just exhausted. That general anesthesia is a booger. So I think that's what's happened to him. He's sleeping very well. He doesn't have that restlessness. You know, when I wrote on Friday about how last Thursday had been and we'd been using Benadryl, he hasn't had any Benadryl for like 2 days now. So he's really resting better. He's doing more Finny things. So I am guardedly optimistic that I will get my dog back. There's one thing I'm still waiting on to see, and then I'll know he's back. I haven't seen a smile yet. We've had no Aussie smiles. And he hasn't caught his lips up and given me the lips that was kind of his thing. So I'm waiting on that one. But otherwise, Mary, he does go see the horses with me. He doesn't really have a choice when we go outside now. He's on the leash, and so he goes with me. But he is only in the barn when the horses are in the stall. When I'm bringing them up, I put him in the tack room just because he doesn't really act like he's got a good handle on. I'm not sure he'd get out of their way. And with the leash on him, that's just a recipe for disaster. So he has not had any opportunities to interact with them by himself. He has stood in front of their stall doors, and they've had kind of a meeting of the muzzles, but he's a little wary. My husband and I, though, are pretty certain that he was trotting along, fat, dumb, and happy, and then he woke up in the hospital. I don't think he even remembers being kicked. I don't think he remembers the period between when he was kicked and when, maybe even later in the day at the hospital. That becomes kind of a blur. The brain is very good at shielding you from some of those things. So that's what I kind of think. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get started. I cannot begin to thank y'all enough for the love and prayers that have been coming his way. I know that it's helping. I just know it is, and it's wonderful. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started on this before I get silly. This is the stamp set we're using. There's actually 2 in the suite, as you may or may not know. And the other one is the dear, the Make a Difference set. And this is the one with all of the alphabet in it, but I didn't play with that one today. What I used is this beautiful one, the Love What You Do set, with the beautiful sentiments and the flowers and these fun washes that you've seen me use already. But I decided to kind of go vintage and downplay the extra stuff, let this beautiful Share What You Love DSP shine through. It's some of that pearlized with those beautiful flowers. Isn't that pretty? And then on the inside, I did kind of an off-normal sentiment placement. Hey, Sue. Hi, Leah. Thank you for the prayers. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Pat. Yes, I hope your corgi is enjoying the show. Let me just scroll down. Okay, we're centered. Good up. Okay. All of a sudden, I could only see half of my screen. So anyway, do y'all recognize this color right here? Yeah, if you've been around any, you know this is Mint Macaron, and it is making a comeback in the 2018-19 annual catalog as one of the core colors. So it will probably be around for a while, along with Blackberry Bliss and a few other favorites like Mossy Meadow. So that's very exciting. So very simple card. It's very easy to make. And, you know, sometimes you just need a card that that isn't so difficult that you have to work very hard at it, if you know what I mean. So let's go ahead and get started. First off, we've got some card cuts here. I'll put all of these on the blog for tomorrow. We've got pretty normal sizes. My card front and inner liner, which is Whisper White. Whenever I play with this paper, I want to use very vanilla. My brain tells me very vanilla, but the coordinating neutral is actually Whisper White. So that is where I've been. Yep, Karen, that was a good call, hanging on to that stuff, those colors, yeah, absolutely. And Karen, yes, thank you, appreciate it. Also, we have two basic black mats, 4 inches by 5 1/4. I've got a regular Mint Macaron card base, 4 1/4 by 11, scored and folded at 5 1/2. And then this piece will be for my envelope flap, so we'll set it aside. And then I have two pieces that they started out at 3 inches square. And then as you can see from the prototype, we're going to tear them down and do a little sponging just to give it a slight vintage touch. It's kind of a vintage hybrid, if you will. And before we started, I did a little fussy cutting because how many times can you watch me fussy cut, really? Not that many. So I cut a few of the little flowers out of the paper. So not a lot of embellishment, just kind of a simple card. Let us begin, shall we? Commencing we shall. All right, let me see if I can find a fast fuse that's actually got some fuse in it, fast or otherwise. I've got 3 sitting out on my table, and I guarantee I will pick the one that is almost empty. All righty. So we're just going to mat this beautiful paper on our basic black. I really, really like the black with this. Now you could also, when we're able to get Blackberry Bliss, I think putting this combination on a Blackberry Bliss mat, or I could have even put it on Rich Razzleberry, but I kind of like the sort of disconnect of the Mint Macaron. I like that. I like how that looks. We'll set that aside. All right, so first off, we're going to put some pretty vintage lace. This is the very vanilla 1/2 inch vintage lace. And I'm going to use my tear and tape method. Now, just so you know, before you even ask, yes, in fact, the tear and tape is going to be sticky where those gaps are, but I'm using that to my advantage because I'm going to use that to wrap some of the twine. Let's cut that just a little bit smaller. That's a little bit of overkill, Mary. A little bit of overkill, Mary. All right, so let's go ahead and lay this out. This has really, truly become my new favorite technique for putting on ribbon or anything like that on a card. Hey, Karen, I really, really hope he smiles at me soon. That's so finny. That I need it. I do need it, it's true. All right, let's see if we can get this on straight. You can kind of see what I'm doing. I've got a silicone craft sheet, and I have a longer than the size of my card panel piece of tear and tape adhesive. I'm letting it overlap off of the edges. Overlap off of the edges. I'm pretty sure that's not right. I'm letting it extend beyond the edges. How about that? And then I'm going to pick up the covering, she says, with it not cooperating. Come on now, baby. Come on, baby. There we go. All right. And so now I've got the tear and tape adhesive down, and it's stuck to the card front and temporarily to my silicone craft sheet. That looks pretty straight. But then I can pick this up just like that, smooth it out, and wrap it around to the back. Okay? But it's still a little tacky there, which I'm going to use to adhere some of the twine that I have now officially lost. Wait, one. It was right here. I totally had it. I totally had it. Huh. Isn't that bizarre how that happens? Oh, there it is, hidden behind the computer. Okay, so now this, hey Lanny, glad you could make it. Hi Daryl, thank you. Alicia, appreciate you joining. Oh, that's a good idea, Karen, use your embossing buddy. But what I'm gonna do is use some of this Nature's twine, and in this one you get 4 colors that come. You get the mint macaron, crumb cake, rich raspberry, or is it it's blackberry bliss, and grapefruit grove. And this is kind of a heavier twine. It's certainly heavier than the linen thread. Okay, so all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of use that. It's not gonna be the only thing holding it, but it's gonna help me get it situated and kind of in the place that I want it to be. So we're just gonna wrap that 3 times around. Like so. And kind of squish those together. And then give it a cut. And I'll put this away. Alright. And you can see it's not terribly sticky since my twine is kind of going every which way from Sunday. Yeah? Alright, there we go. Alright. Now, I'm just going to use Scotch tape on this because it's handy to give it a little help in the back. Stay there. Stop it. Stop it. Do you guys find that talking to your embellishments helps? I don't, but I tend to do it, and I don't know why I can't seem to stop. Okay, there we go. So yeah, and it even looks sort of straight. Yes, yay! All right, so now we're going to work on our matting and our sentiment. What I have here are 2 pieces, 3 inches square. One is basic black, and all I'm going to do is just tear that. Now, I'm not going to tell you what size I'm tearing to because I have no idea. I'm just tearing what's comfortable for me to tear. Okay? And so it's not very much. You can see it's less than 1/4 inch probably. But all I'm doing is just tearing towards me because that gets a little more raggedy edge than tearing away does. Unless, of course, you turn it over. But everyone can tell this is the top of the cardstock, right? This is obviously the back, and this is definitely the front. So I need to make sure this tears correctly for the front. Hi, Sue. You talk to your food, Karen? Yep. Yep. Hi, Jerry. Nice to see you. It is, it's like 60, Jean, but it's nasty wet. And so it feels colder than it is. This morning, in a fit of it's spring, I'm opening the windows. I opened the windows and the doors, and about an hour later, I was closing everything because it was cold. It was so chilly cold. I did not like it. I did not like it very much. Even Finn, who is perpetually hot, was looking at me like, hello, doofus. Okay, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the mat on first with Stampin' Dimensionals. Make sure you put it on the correct side. And I'm just using them in the corners because I don't want them over my twine. That would be an unpleasant bump and hump, and we don't want any unpleasant bumps and humps. No unpleasant bumps and humps. All right, I don't know about you guys, but I'm about ready for spring, real live spring, the kind where it's actually warm in the day. I'm gonna put that like right about there and just adhere it with the dimensionals, and then the twine underneath kind of gives it some support, so that's all good. Now I'm going to stamp my my sentiment first, so it's going to be sentiment, tear, sponge, and then I'm going to add my little branches. Is there a reason I'm doing it in that order? I have no idea, but it certainly sounded like I did, didn't it? Yeah, it sounded like I really knew what I was doing. Wow, those are some stout things. I'll bring my silicone craft sheet up, and I'm stamping this in rich razzleberry. Because, how do I know what's the front and the back? Because I'm a trained professional, Karen. Hello. I have Stampin' Up! Demonstrator on like my name tag, my business cards, and the side of my car. Therefore, I can tell you, it's quite obvious. Can't you see it? That's the front, that's the back. Front, back. Front, back. It's so obvious. I'm disappointed that you can't tell. Now, I did not save all those additional colors, so I don't have Blackberry Bliss. So we're doing this card in Rich Razzleberry. And I'm just going to put that right there in the middle of my square, like so. And yes, I could have used my Stamp-A-Majig, but I did not, so I'm going to just pull out my marker and just kind of tidy up that where it didn't quite get as much depth as I like. Just tidy it up a little bit. How many times have I said that my best investment ever was? What is it? Tell me, folks. You know what it is. I'm using it right now. Yep, that's right. The Mini Marvelous markers. Best thing I ever did was to make sure that I had a marker for every color of ink that I try to use, because fix it. Can you believe they are retiring the what? No, that's not true. The Stamp-A-Majig is not retired. That can't be true. I refuse to believe it. Simply can't make me. All right, so now that I've stamped that, I'm going to close this stamp pad. And then I'm going to tear this piece and get it kind of distress-elated. And again, on tomorrow's blog, do not expect to see final measurements for these cards. It's these little panels right here. Starts with 3 by 3, and you tear it down. And if you just tear them both about the same, where you're kind of having to work at it, but you're not really taking a lot off. I know that's kind of squishy. It's like when I'd ask my mom, well, how long do I cook that casserole for? Till it's done. Yeah, how about a little more definitive answer? Well, that's what you're going to do with this. You're going to tear them off. And so your black panel and your crumb cake panel may not be the same size, and that is okay. Now we'll throw this away. See, I'm doing this. I'm like tidying this up because I want you to believe I'm a tidy crafter, but I'm not. I'm the messiest crafter on the planet. All right, now let's get rid of this. And then I'm going to size squares, 3 inches square. No, that can't be. Amy, are you still on? Is that retiring? I don't have my catalog right here. That can't be. That just can't be. That's crazy. Because I'm for certain sure going to use it. Yes. Okay, so what I have here is I have some Stampin' Sponge, and I've taken the whole sponge, I've cut it into about 6 wedges. So, and then I took a piece of crumb cake cardstock and wrote crumb cake upside down. I don't know why. Probably because I used the wrong side of the cardstock. Hello. And then I stapled it to my sponge so that I can have half a shot of keeping the colors the same. And I'm just going to sponge the edges. You can see I'm starting off of my panel. You can always add, but it's really, really hard to take it away. And I like how this does because it also kind of burnishes that tear. Makes it kind of look like a burned edge to me. Remember making parchment paper in elementary school? Did you guys do that? Where you soaked the regular paper in like tea and then let it dry and then soaked it some more until it got as dark as you wanted it, and then you tore the edges or burned the edges. You remember doing that? I remember doing that. I can actually distinctly remember doing it. I just don't remember why, other than it was for some assignment. But that's what this always reminds me of when I do this. All right, so now I've got the edges done. I'm just going to kind of do a little more into the panel, a little bit, like that. Oh, that is just crazy. Well, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to use it. I can't help it, because I just can't even fathom not being able to stamp my clear stamps with the Stamp-N-Lingers. I mean, I'm sorry, I just can't. The Stamparatus just isn't going to take the place of it. It really is not, I don't think. All right, so that's about as much as I want there. So I'm going to go ahead and put this aside for a minute. We'll use it again on the inside. And then I'm going to add a couple of little leaves from the Do What You Love stamp set. I love, this stamp set is just really so pretty. It's got so many little things that all work together and make some beautiful scenes. So it's very nice. So all I'm going to do is just take this twice, once in the bottom right corner and once in the top left corner. And you can see, because I've already sponged there, that it really kind of, it antiques that pear pizzazz a little bit and makes it already look vintage. So we are well on the way to having our card done. So I'll just bring my card front back. And I'm going to use liquid glue. Oh. Wait a minute, I have to just have a... I have to have a moment of silence for the Stamp-A-Majig. That's insane. I was certain that I had seen it in there. Wow. I'm calling DS tomorrow. And I'm saying, I want to speak to Shelly, and I want to speak to Sarah, and I want to speak to them right now, because what were they thinking? All right. So we're going to make this one be straight. Like that. All right. Now, next up, I'm going to take my little flowers right here, and I'm just going to kind of dry fit them to see where I want them. You see I cut out a couple of the little partial flowers, and then I have one main flower. Now, before I glue those down, what I'm going to do is take my black Stampin' Right marker and just edge, well, the edges. Because edging the middles would be weird, then you'd be middling, see? See the difference? Middling, edging. And that just kind of cuts down on those little bits of white that you can kind of glimpse and finishes the fussy cut, I think. It also works really good on die cuts, if you want to do that. And I don't always use black, but black is the appropriate color for these little dudes, right? Okay. You guys don't need to worry about the Stamp-A-Majig. Once Sarah and Shelley realize that Mary Deathridge, 214-7717, is not happy, it'll be back in lickety-split. Just know, because we're like this. Yeah. Yeah. Which, if it was true, would mean we'd still have those doilies. You remember the doilies from the holiday catalog that they had white on one side and very vanilla on the other, and they were so beautiful? We'd have those forever if Mary and Shelley and Sarah were bestest friends. All right, there we go. All righty, now I'm going to use my tweezers to put my flowers on. My flowers. The first two are with liquid glue. And these are the little kind of little bud ones, I guess they'd be. I'll separate those just a little bit from each other. And then you shake so bad you have to use the Stamp-N-Majig. Yeah. I'm not sure that they consider that as part of why the Stamp-N-Majig is as popular as it is. I mean, I think it's popular. I can't imagine people not using it. All right, so on the whole one, I'm going to put a mini Stampin' Dimensional right in the back, or off-centered in the back, so that then I have to take it off of there and get it on where it belongs. There we go. Okay, and then we're going to just stick it in the center of the two other little flowers. The other little flowers like that, except I'm going to fix that because I can see it, I can see it. I'm not going to want to see it. If I can see it, that's all I'll ever see is that little tiny wedge. That little tiny wedge right there of Stamp-N-Majig. And I can't stand it. Yeah, a little bit anal retentive about that one right there. Okay, now let's go ahead and put him on. See, it's not a very big embellishment. It's just something tiny. And then I've got one little pink artisan pearl to go right in the middle, like that. And you know what? I'm getting a lot of movement from that, so I'm going to go ahead and add another Stampin' Dimensional there, right underneath that corner of the mat, like that, just to support it a little bit. All right, there we go. And now all I have to do is tie a bow in public, and then this card front will be done. So we're going to tie a bow in public with the very vanilla 1/2-inch lace trim. And fortunately, it's relatively forgiving. Relatively, she says, as she attempts to make a bow in public. Nope, that one didn't fly. Go a little further out. Okay, here we go. That one I have some room to play with. Yes, Paula, it is just like doing math in public. Only there's no calculator. I could pull out my Bow Easy, but sometimes that looks not very professional either when I'm using it. Also, sometimes, I hope you're sitting down, everybody. Sometimes I say a bad word when I use my Bow Easy because I screwed up. All right, there we go. We're going to call that pretty close. Why are you being so poisnickety? Poisnickety. Okay. There we go. Let's cut that off now. And then we can tidy it up a little bit. It needs to be just a little smaller. That was a humongous, ginormous, honking bow, and we wanted a little tiny, delicate bow. More like that. Okay. And then we'll cut its little tails, like so. And we'll put it on with a glue dot. With a glue dot. I'm just going to adhere that to that twine. And then stick this on just like that. There we go. Alrighty. And there is our card front. Easy, yeah? Okay. Now, you guys probably think I'm trying to pull one over you, pull the wool over your eyes on this fussy cutting. This took me like 5 minutes to fussy cut those 3 things. I just figured you just didn't need to watch that because, you know, it's fussy cutting. It's just a thing. All right, so here's what we're going to do on the inside of the card. You can see there's very, very light sponging along the edges and these 2-step flowers from the Do What You Love or Love What You Do stamp set. Okay? So let's go ahead and start. What I'm going to do first is my sponging. Now, I'm using my sponge, the same sponge I used on the front, but I'm not going to add any ink, okay? Because I really just want there to be the suggestion of some color and for it to kind of define the edge of the paper. So you can see how it's picking up and coloring this edge, but it's not really laying down a whole lot of color, right? Now you could, if you wanted, you could actually kind of brush this sponge over the entire panel to make it kind of a nice little tea color if you wanted. I didn't do that. I did that on one iteration and it didn't work in my head. Okay, because I'd actually tried to do it after stamping the Blackberry Bliss and or the Rich Razzleberry. See, I'm already succumbing to the new colors. Anyway, I had already stamped the Rich Razzleberry, and let's just say that was a fail of epic proportions, so that panel went in the round file. All right, that's enough, I believe. I like it like that. I like it like that. Thank you, Susan. Thanks, Eunice. Thank you, Jean. Thanks, Robbie. I really, really like vintagizing cards. I think it's very fun. Look at how stout those photopolymers are. Here we go. Now, I'm stamping the large flower image from Love What You Do. I'm going to stamp it in crumb cake. And I'm kind of going off the edge here, like that. Give it a little shakedown. And I'll turn over my craft piece. And then, in Rich Razzleberry, stamp it off once. Paper. I am going to stamp the larger of the wash images. You can see there's a little one as well for this smaller group of flowers, and I'm using the larger one for this one. So I'm just going to ink it up, stamp it off once on my grid paper. If y'all don't have grid paper, I want you to go to the online store right now and buy grid paper. It is one of the best things ever. It's so handy and helpful. All right, I'm just going to kind of line that up and give it a press. Not too blaring because I've stamped it off once. Blaring, glaring, maybe, I'm not sure which one I want to use. And then we'll do the third one, like so. Okay, very good, done. That is done. Close that up. And actually we should do our envelope while we've got it out and while the silicone mat is available. So let's do that right quick like a bunny. But it's not so thick and nice as this, and it doesn't have inches and centimeters, your desk calendar from the bank, see? All right, let's be sure I'm putting this on the right side. Have you ever decorated your envelope and realized you'd done it upside down? Yeah, I do that. And I just try to tell people I'm quirky that way. I meant to do that. And most of the time they look at me like, right. Yeah, right, Mare. Sure you did. Sure you did. Mm-hmm. And you do need to be a little careful when you're using the silicone because the ink does not dry immediately. You don't want it on the back of your envelope because unlike cardstock, there really is a front and a back to an envelope. Just saying. All right, now again with the Rich Razzleberry stamped off once. It took me a long time to buy the grid paper. I don't know why. It's not like it's expensive. I think it's like $11 for 1 billion sheets. But once I did, I'll never go back. All right, so there's that. And I actually still need that out because let's put a sentimente. A sentimente? Let's do a sentimente. See on the bottom back of the envelope and find some of it is hidden when the envelope is closed. Yes, I've done that as well. Yeah, sure enough. Sure enough, I have. I've done all of those things. Okay. So I decided to get a little off the rocker, off the wall, off the chain, off the hook with my inside sentiment. I don't know why. but I was tired of putting it in the middle. So now this one isn't. And there's that. Okay. Now we'll get this out the way and give this a little, oh yes, Sue, mine get to be where I can't tell what anything that's going on, and I'm writing notes. So TGIF challenge is mint macaron rich raspberry crumb cake, and yeah. And I try to make sure that I'm keeping track of my my challenges for the week so that I don't miss out on them, but that frequently does not happen. All right. Now we'll put this on our black mat. With some fast fuse. You know, fast fuse is one of those things. It took me a long time to get to where I liked it, but now that I like it, it's going away. But I'm not nearly as sad about that as I am about the Stamp-N-Majig. Because you see, liquid glue is a suitable substitute for fast fuse, but the Stamparatus is not a suitable sub for fast fuse, or for the Stamp-N-Majig. Okay, now let's put this in our mint macaron card base. Yes, Karen, it does give you a little more room to write, doesn't it? All right. Ah, I remember how much I love mint macaron. It's such a good green. Such a good green. All right, now we'll take our card front. Thank you, Twyla. I appreciate it. Thank you, Sue. I do try to keep track of challenges. I'm not always successful. I'll frequently do a card for a challenge and then go to pull the link up and discover those dreaded words. This linky has closed. Yeah. All right. And we're going to pop this on with some dimensionals. And that will be the card. And all we'll have left to do is the envelope flapper. The envelope flapper. You guys, yesterday, so Comcast is doing a free watch-a-thon week, and I binge watched the whole first season of Lost in Space. Did you guys watch that when you were little? I did. It's very different, but it's very cute. I like it. Not cute. Cute's the wrong word. Cute has nothing to do with this show, so don't be thinking it's cute. It's a good show. I like it. Has a very, very strong female lead, MIT kind of aerospace engineer. Nice looking snake eater husband who's also not a dummy, and smart kids. It's just a good show. So if you have a chance to see it, you should. There's our card, people. A vintage card with the Share What You Love DSP, Love What You Do stamp set. And it's a nice thank you card for somebody. So let us add the final piece, which is, of course, thank you guys. Thank you, Daryl. I'm going to put this on with a little line of liquid glue. And I'll tell you something I've started doing with my envelope flaps, especially when I have thicker cards. This one isn't so thick. But you see how instead of going right up to the very edge of the flap, I'm kind of coming down a hair. Because when you put that card in there, it's going to, instead of that being a knife crease, it's going to become a dimensionalized crease. So it's going to be a thicker crease. And I've discovered that my paper really sticks up. And most of the time I don't mind it, but sometimes it just really bugs me. You know, it just bugs me, and I spend 10 minutes trying to fix it. So that is what I am now doing, is just sliding it down a little bit, not going quite to the crease. Still just a basic fussy cut though, nothing else has changed. This paper is a little thicker than regular DSP because it's a specialty. So it's really going to add a little heft to your envelope. All right, and there we go. What do you think, folks? You like? I was very happy with how this one turned out. So, questions, thoughts, and Danger. Danger, Will Robinson popped in my head. Is that the same show? Yes, ma'am, it is. Except he doesn't say it like the old guy did. He says, Danger, Will Robinson, like that. And he doesn't flap his arms like that. And he has 4 arms. Yeah. It's good. I like it. It's, I think it's kind of a different storyline than what the old one was, but it's still good and it's still fun. All right, guys, I am going to go, and I hope to see you next week. And again, appreciate the thoughts and prayers coming from my little man. I appreciate it very much. Thanks for spending the time, folks. Good night.